On the edge of a dusty old village, where the road was so uneven that even a serious cart would feel embarrassed rolling on it, there lived two boys everyone talked about in very different ways. One was named Rafi, and people called him a born genius. The other was named Sami, and people called him the boy who never sat still long enough to catch a thought. Rafi could cut wood with the grace of a dancer, throw a stone farther than a grown man, and memorize a song after hearing it once. Sami, on the other hand, was never the best at anything at first. His hands were rough, his clothes were always dusty, and his face always looked like it had just argued with the sun. The villagers loved Rafi. Why would they not? Talent is a shining thing. It walks into a room and everyone claps before it has even done anything useful. Rafi knew this too. He walked like the world owed him applause. "Why sweat like a mule when you have a gift like mine?" he would say, stretching under a tree while others worked. "Some people are made for greatness. Others are made for carrying buckets." Sami heard it all, but he did not answer. He simply kept working. He fetched water, split firewood, carried sacks, cleaned tools, and helped the old carpenter in the market every morning before sunrise. He was never the fastest, but he was always there. The old carpenter, a man with a beard as white as flour and eyes sharper than a hawk's, often watched him quietly and said, "A river does not carve a mountain in one day. It keeps going." One summer, the village announced a contest. The nobleman from the next town was coming to choose two boys to help build a grand wooden bridge over the river. The chosen ones would be paid well and taught by master builders. The entire village buzzed like a pot full of angry bees. Rafi laughed when he heard about it. "This is for me," he said. "Finally, a chance to prove what natural talent can do." Sami said nothing. He just tightened the rope around his bundle of tools and kept working after sunset, even while the frogs started their nightly concerts by the pond. He practiced measuring, cutting, tying, lifting, and balancing. He made mistakes, many mistakes. One plank fell on his foot and he hopped around the yard swearing in a voice too small to sound dangerous. A goat nearby stared at him like a judge. The old carpenter chuckled and said, "The wise do not fear mistakes, they fear repeating them." Rafi, meanwhile, barely practiced. He preferred to sit by the tea stall, telling anyone who would listen that skill was in the blood. "You can't teach genius," he said, sipping tea as if he had already won something. "Either the river is born wide or it is not." The day of the contest arrived. The nobleman from the next town laid out a difficult task. Each boy had to build a small but sturdy wooden cart in one day. It had to carry heavy stones without breaking, and it had to move smoothly across the rough road outside the village. The villagers gathered with bright eyes. The challenge began. Rafi attacked the wood like a tiger that had slept too long. His hands moved quickly and confidently. He measured by eye, cut without thinking much, and worked with the swagger of a peacock in a sunny field. It looked beautiful at first, elegant lines, smooth edges. Even the villagers whispered, "Ah, see, talent speaks." Sami began slowly. He measured twice, cut once, then checked again. He sanded the edges. He tightened every joint. He made the frame plain but strong. A little boy watching him frowned and said, "Why is he working so slowly?" The old carpenter replied, "Because he is building the cart for the road, not for the applause." At noon, Rafi paused only long enough to admire his work. He was already smiling. "Finished before the rest," he said, "as I expected." But he had made one fatal mistake. He had rushed the axle. It looked fine, but it was weak. When the nobleman placed the stones on it and the cart rolled over the rough ground, there was a loud crack. One wheel wobbled, then bent sideways like a confused ear. The cart collapsed into a pile of shame and splinters. The village let out a sound between laughter and gasps.
Even the goats seemed offended. Rafi's face turned red. He tried to fix it quickly, but the more he rushed, the worse it became. One stone rolled into the river with a splash. A dog barked as if judging his career. A rooster crowed at the exact wrong moment, as though announcing the downfall of human pride. Sami kept working. He did not rush, he did not boast. He tightened the last bolt, tested the wheels, loaded the stones, and pushed the cart across the road. It moved steadily over bumps, stones, and dips. It did not look proud, it looked useful. And that, in the end, is what matters. The nobleman watched carefully. Then he asked the boys to send the carts over the rough path again, this time with a heavier load. Rafi's broken cart couldn't even be repaired in time. Sami's cart rolled on, steady as a patient old ox. The nobleman nodded. "You have skill," he told Rafi, "but skill without discipline is a candle in the wind." Then he turned to Sami and said, "And you may not have been the fastest, but you worked like a man who understands tomorrow." Sami bowed. Rafi looked down at the ground, embarrassed and silent for once. After the nobleman left, the village was not cruel to Rafi. Old villagers know that pride is a poor cushion when you fall. The old carpenter put a hand on Rafi's shoulder and said, "A gift is a seed, boy. Hard work is the water. Without water, even the finest seed stays asleep." Rafi swallowed hard. "I thought talent was enough." The old carpenter smiled. "Talent opens the door. Hard work walks you through it." From that day, Rafi changed. He began waking early. He began listening. He began practicing when no one watched. And at first, it was painful for him, because nothing bruises the ego quite like learning that effort matters. But little by little, his gift became stronger. His hands became steadier. His mind became sharper. He stopped trying to look gifted and started trying to become useful. Years later, the same two boys built the finest bridge the village had ever seen. Rafi's speed and natural sense for design helped, but it was his discipline that made the difference. Sami's patience, care, and stubborn work ethic held everything together. People still spoke of talent, but now they spoke of labor too. And whenever young boys in the village complained that they were not born special, the old carpenter would laugh softly and say, "The river does not ask whether the stone is talented. It only asks whether the stone keeps moving." So remember this: talent may get attention, but hard work builds the life. A bright spark is lovely, but a steady flame cooks the meal. Hard work beats talent alone every single time.